Good evening, everyone. It's 6:30, so I'd now like to call to order this meeting of the Lancaster City Council for Wednesday, April 24th, 2024. A couple of reminders at the top of the meeting for everyone. This is an excellent opportunity to silence any phones or devices if you haven't done so already. And a reminder that this meeting's participants are being recorded. This evening, there will be several opportunities for public comment during the meeting. If you wish to make comment this evening, please do so at the podium here and address your comments toward council. Comments must begin with your name and block of residence for our meeting record and should be addressing issues that have or may come before council as legislation. Pardon me. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker, and you'll see this light here to help us keep time. When a speaker begins, the light will turn green. When you have 1 minute remaining, it will turn yellow, and it will turn red when 3 minutes has been exhausted. Thank you, everyone, for helping us keep time equal for everyone. And now, for all of those who are willing and able, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Harris, would you please call the roll of members?
Yes, Madam President. Mr. Ahmed.
Here.
Mr. Arroyo.
Here.
Mr. Glees.
Here.
Ms. Craig.
Here.
Ms. Diaz.
Here.
Mr. Hirsch.
Here.
And President Beke.
Here. Our next item is the approval of the minutes of the April 9th, 2024 meeting of council.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any council comments on the meeting minutes? Hearing none, Mr. Harris.
Mr. Ahmed.
Aye.
Mr. Arroyo.
Aye.
Mr. Glees.
Aye.
Ms. Craig.
Aye.
Ms. Diaz.
Aye.
Mr. Hirsch.
Aye.
And President Beke.
Aye. The next item on our agenda is the proclamations, honors, awards, and resolutions of recognition. I know that we do have our Neighborhood Leaders Academy folks here this evening. With the rest of council's forbearance, because we know we are expecting Mayor Sirachi back, what I'd like to do is just switch the next two items on the agenda and move to our first public comment period, allowing her time to return from her other commitment. Are there any objections from council for making that change to the agenda? Okay. Thank you very much. Mr. Harrison, we'll move into our first public comment period again. This is reserved for residents who have contacted the city clerk ahead of time to address council. Do we have any of the commenters this evening, Mr. Harris?
Yes, we do, Madam President. First is Judy Harding.
Good evening. And for everyone who's speaking this evening, a reminder again to please begin with your name and block of residence for our meeting record. Thank you. Good evening. Oh. No worries. You can move that down a little bit and also just hit the button so it turns green. That way we can hear you.
Okay. Hello, my name is Judy Harding from the 400 block of Prospect Street in Lancaster. Thank you. Good evening, my name is Judy Harding, and with me is Jean Weglars. We are members of the Pilot Club of Lancaster and are here today to thank Chief Richard Mendez and members of our police department for their participation in Project Lifesaver program. Project Lifesaver has been active in Lancaster County since 2012, and we were very happy that the City Police Department became a full member agency in 2017. We are pleased to support the trained police officers who provide this search and rescue program for those at risk to wander. Individuals are enrolled due to cognitive diseases such as autism, Down syndrome, Alzheimer's, and dementia. Each enrollee wears a personalized watch-like wristlet or anklet. When an enrollee wanders, their caregiver calls 911, and the trained police officers respond with specialized equipment to search and for the individual in a safe and fast rescue. And a safe and fast rescue is highly likely. What a relief this is for caregivers and families, and what a wonderful safety net for at-risk citizens. Project Lifesaver's motto is bringing your loved ones home, and we know this is what our police department is also dedicated to do. We'd like to present a certificate to Mr. Mendez.
Chief Mendez, if you would like to come up. And Ms. Harding, thank you so much for your comments. This is a very important program with someone with a family member who did have dementia and would leave home, knowing that our public safety professionals are trained to help in that situation is very relieving to the family.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep. They move fast.
Do you want to take a picture here off to the side?
Yep, that would be
Okay.
good.
Let me just finish our remarks.
We would also like to acknowledge the city social worker, Grace Menser, who has been very helpful with supporting the Spanish-speaking families who are enrolled in Project Lifesaver. So we acknowledge her support as well.
Thank you. That's wonderful. Thank you so much. Mr. Harris, do we have any other public commenters for our first period?
Yes, Madam President. Next, we have Maria Cool.
Ms. Cool?
Oh, me?
Yes. Come
Thought I
on,
was late.
or come on down.
What, excuse me?
You come up to the podium, and I believe the microphone is on, and please just remember to begin with your name and block of residence for the meeting record.
Getting my reading glasses.
Okay. Good evening, thank you.
Maria Cool, I live in the 600 block of 3rd Street. And my comment's a little bit longer. Our quality of life in the city has been diminished by the influx of investors, house flippers, and landlords who don't care a whit about the city and residents, but care only about making a profit. Too many of them don't follow any rules. They flout city code and ordinances with no repercussions, and we citizens have to live with the negative results. Ghetto-adjacent neighborhoods like mine are ignored consistently, while downtown and tourists continue to be the #1 concern. I have heard endlessly about downtown in the more than 35 years I have lived here. After tons of money, development, and attention, we still hear about what needs to be done for downtown. And now tourists have been added. Downtown is fine. My neighborhood is not. How many people have been shot and/or killed or shot at while their vehicle or a house was hit? A few houses or a half block from your house. How many shootouts have happened in front of your house? I'm available to give an enlightening tour if you're interested. Along with any increase in rentals comes an increase in unkempt properties with tall grass and weeds and trash and litter in yards, on sidewalks, and in gutters. Too many backyards are now mud pits as renters illegally park their vehicles on what was once grass, as has happened behind my house on 3rd Street for several years now, which I have reported. I'm tired of the ugliness. Where is the city's concern for the runoff, the water runoff, or the root systems of the trees that are endangered by the compacted soil? I'm referring to what happens when they park on what used to be a yard. The city wants people to plant more trees. Why don't we save the ones we already have growing? It is beyond depressing living in my neighborhood. It is a full-time job just to keep it from getting worse. Where can I submit my hours for work reimbursement? These types of properties don't just make neighborhoods ugly, depressing, and targets for crime. They cost taxpayer dollars because more city employees have to regularly spend time addressing the issues. These investors who are only interested in their profits should have to help pay for the extra work they create by their neglect. Perhaps they should be required to provide a sum of money that would be held only used if they needed repeated monitoring because of not fulfilling the ordinances or code or other required rules.
Ms. Poole, I just want to let you know you've reached your 3 minutes, but if you would like to submit your comments in writing, we can take them. It seems like you have them written. You can either email them or give them to the city clerk.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Harris, do we have any additional public commenters for this period?
We do. Next is Susie Gomez.
Susie Gomez is not able to make it this evening, but she did want me to congratulate Council Member Jenny Diaz for winning the primary. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Yes. Were there any additional public commenters, Mr. Harris?
There were not.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And now we're joined by Mayor Srati, so we can go back to our previous item on our agenda for proclamations, honors, awards, and resolutions of recognition. This evening, we are recognizing the Fall 2023 Neighborhood Leaders Academy participants. I'd like to welcome Director Milsey Carrasco from the Department of Neighborhood Engagement to introduce what we're doing. Thank you.
Good evening. How is everyone this evening? It's an exciting time for our city. Greetings, Mayor, Council President, and Council. I'm here today to introduce graduates from Neighborhood Leadership Academy. As you know, Neighborhood Leaders Academy is a 6-week civic engagement leadership development program offered by the City of Lancaster's Bureau of Civic Engagement. The first step to increasing civic engagement is to educate and empower our residents so that they have the knowledge, skills, and motivations necessary to effectively influence the decisions that lead to impact. Part of our curriculum, we share with our participants local government, city structure, and legislative powers. We introduce the public safety team. We also introduce them to elected officials and decision makers here in the city of Lancaster. And the last 2 sessions of Neighborhood Leadership Academy, we discuss community resources, introduce them to a lot of community-based organizations, and also review best engagement practices. This NLA group completed the program this past winter, and it was a different group altogether that we've had in previous years. The group was focused on staying involved with several participants asking to participate in boards, commissions, and authorities, and this evening we also met with them, and they're also interested to continue to participate in our boards, commissions, and authorities. One member of the group participates and serves as a committee member with Healthy Lives, Healthy Lancaster with our Department of Community Planning and Economic Development. The group is working on a range of projects aimed at improving different aspects of community life. They're teaching people about managing money, promoting wellness practices, and developing programs specifically for young people here in the city of Lancaster. Overall, this class was really awesome to have and participate with Neighborhood Leadership Academy. NLA serves as a platform for finding and nurturing individuals who are eager to create positive change in their community. I want to take this time and this opportunity to announce each of the members that participated and to be recorded in the city's records. So I'm going to start with Joseph Allen. If you're here, if you can stand, that would be great, and then actually walk here to the front. We're going to be providing you with certificates of graduation. So Joseph Allen, Rosa Baker was also part of the program. Sarah Boonner, Sarah's here she is. Shannon Butler, Ellen Campbell, Cecilia Canela, Roman Clay, David Cruz, Alexandra Godfrey, Ariana Hernandez, Rafael Hernandez, Jason Kunzelman, Nancy Miller, Elizabeth Reeves, and Craig Reynolds. This is the Neighborhood Leadership Academy 2023 group, so really thankful for them, and a round of applause for all their work. I also want to add, this program's brought to all of us in partnership with Lancaster Community Foundation and Leadership Lancaster. We have Manny here that is representing the Leadership Lancaster. And it is just really great. This past Monday, we started our spring class, 20 new leaders that are coming through Neighborhood Leaders Academy. And for the first time, I only actually know 2 of the folks that are joining the academy. So all new faces, really exciting. So if we can come up and take a picture, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody keeps in.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Thank you, everyone, for bearing with us while we celebrate. I'll take the moment to say that some of our neighborhood leaders participants might only be here for this during the meeting, and that's okay. We won't take it personally. If you need to step out, I'll give you a moment to do so. You are welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but you certainly don't have to. Okay. We will move on to our next item on the agenda this evening, which is reports requested by council. This evening, we have a public safety report, and I believe we'll be joined by both Chief Mendez and Chief Hutchinson for the report. I'm not sure who is going first. Mayor Sirachi?
Yes, thank you. I am taking the liberty of extending the public safety report to include both police and fire. Councilor Diaz had reached out with some questions, and I thought it would be a good moment for us to pause and have a complete public safety report. There was so much content, as you know, that we don't have time to cover when we are addressing the budget. And when we go through the budget meetings, there's often a lot of conversation about the work of public safety and all of our departments, really. And so this is a good moment to pause and talk about the first quarter and also a little bit of a retrospect of some of the work that has been happening within the Police Bureau. So with that, I'd like to invite Chief Mendez to share his report, and he'll be followed by Chief Hutchinson. And thank you.
Thank you very much. Welcome, Chief Mendez.
All right, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure and honor to be here, so I'll get right to it. As she said, Councilor Diaz reached out with a couple questions for me, and there was some stuff I wanted to share as well, so I'm going to cover it. It's going to be, try and get as much out of it as I can, and if you have any questions afterwards, or if there's anything you want, I can send to you via email with some more data if you need it. I'd like to start off with recruitment, because that's a big topic for us right now. So we recently, as you're aware, we had changed the physical agility testing, and we really made a recruitment push, and we received over 400 applications for the position of police officer. Of those over 400 applications, we had 226 candidates show up and take the physical agility test, with 197 successfully passing it, which was huge numbers for us compared to recent years. And of that 197, 134 candidates then successfully passed a written exam, at which we currently have 18 candidates undergoing background investigations, which is the next step. We're also aiming to open up applications for the next hiring cycle by the end of the month, next month. So we're really excited about that, and we're hoping for some great candidates to serve the city. I'd like to touch a little bit on the leadership in the Bureau and things we're doing to improve. As I had said, early on, I think when I was first took over as chief, a goal of mine was to improve how the Bureau develops our officers and, set them up to be better leaders, because we need a good leadership bench. So that was a goal of mine. One of the trainings that I wanted to focus on tonight and just make you aware of is we recently brought in the Maxwell Group, which was grant funded to do leadership training with the Bureau. And if you're not familiar with the Maxwell Group, they provided leadership training and consulting to world leaders and Fortune 500 companies. John Maxwell has written quite a few #1 selling books, and he's often referred to as like the leader of the expert in leadership in the United States. So we're really glad to get that. And the focus of our training is the 5 levels of leadership, and it goes through each steps of leadership to become an elite leader. And that's what we want with our city police department. So we're currently still going through that training, and by the end of it, we should have over 60 of our officers trained with that leadership training. So next, I'll move on to accreditation. I feel like we've been talking about accreditation for eternity, but I'm happy to say that it is moving along nicely, and we are finishing up a complete review of all our policies, and we'll soon be moving on to the next phase, and we are on pace to be accredited in January of 25, an officially accredited police bureau. So hopefully there's no more obstacles to overcome, but we're moving along, and we should be accredited in January of 25, so that's exciting for us to finally accomplish that. I want to move on to some of the questions that were asked. Guns have been coming up a lot, so I want to touch on some of the gun issues we see in the city and we're addressing. But first, I'd like to just really point out that as I analyze the data, our categories are remaining the same. There's not an increase in Lancaster City in the gun crimes, and in fact, some of our firearms-related crimes have decreased over the past, since 2021. So we're remaining steady or coming down in some of our gun crimes. Where there is an issue of concern, and I've talked about it numerous times, is juveniles with guns. We have seen an increase in that, and we're trying to combat that issue. It's going to take all of us to address the juvenile crime issue, but we're excited about a program that Benchmark we're looking to partnership with that would target a lot of this, get the juveniles on the right path. So it's in the early stages, but they recently got a grant, and we're excited to see where that goes. And it would be modeled after a program that Boston's been doing. So early on that, but we're excited that we can hopefully, start addressing some of the youth issues. Ghost guns are always a hot topic. So just ghost guns are really just guns that you can build by kits or pieces. They don't have serial numbers, so they're made and they're distributed, and there's really, they're hard to track, and they're just not. You can get them online, get the pieces together, and manufacture, make your own gun. So I'm going to talk about ghost guns, but I just want to give you a brief description of what they are. In 2021, the Bureau confiscated 72 firearms that were connected to criminal activity. Additionally, we seized one ghost gun, one firearm that had a tampered serial number. That would be they tried to remove the serial number from a gun. And with that, the ghost gun was implicated. The ghost gun was not implicated in any other offenses other than being a ghost gun. And the firearm that with the obliterated serial number, the testing is ongoing at the lab for that one. In 2022, the Bureau confiscated 115 firearms linked to criminal activity. Furthermore, we retrieved 9 ghost guns and 4 firearms that had obliterated serial numbers. And regrettably, one of those ghost guns was involved in a shots fired incident, and another was implicated in a homicide. Additionally, one of the firearms with an obliterated serial number was used in a shots fired call in the city with no victim of the shots. In 2023, the Bureau confiscated 118 guns associated with crimes. Additionally, we recovered 17 ghost guns and 4 firearms with obliterated serial numbers. One ghost gun was associated with a shots fired call, and another was associated with 2 separate shots fired calls. Third was connected to a shooting and an additional 2 shots fired calls with that one ghost gun. Sadly, one of the ghost guns was also involved in a homicide in 2023, and additionally, one of the firearms with the obliterated serial number was linked to a shots fired incident. Another obliterated serial number gun and 7 of the ghost guns are awaiting testing at the laboratory, so I don't have further information on that. As of today, in 2024, we have recovered 29 guns that were linked to criminal activity, 3 of which are ghost guns and 2 which had obliterated serial numbers. Currently, all of them are awaiting analysis at the lab, so I can't provide stats on that at this time to link them to anything. Move on to some firearm-related arrests. Since 2021, the Bureau has made 166 adult arrests for firearm violations. During this same period, the Bureau has made 47 juvenile arrests for firearms violations. The Bureau has seen an increase in juvenile crimes, and as I said earlier, we're excited to partner with Benchmark to really tackle that issue. Next, I'd like to talk about illegal narcotics and the money seized with those. In 2021, the Bureau confiscated over 2,400 grams of illegal drugs. These include cocaine, crack cocaine, heroin, and methamphetamine. The Bureau confiscated $68,808 in drug-related currency for 2021. In 2022, the Bureau confiscated 228 grams of illegal drugs, all of which included cocaine, crack cocaine, heroin, and meth. And the Bureau confiscated an additional $46,172 in drug-related currency. And in 2023, the Bureau confiscated over 1,400 grams of illegal drugs, of which were the same. And the Bureau confiscated an additional $56,408 in drug-related currency. As of today, in 2024, the Bureau has confiscated over 500 grams of illegal drugs, and we have confiscated $19,374 in drug-related currency. So that's my report, and I welcome any questions. And if you want the graphs that I have that are more detailed with some of that information that breaks it down a little bit more, I'd be happy to share them with you via email.
Chief Bendis, thank you so much for sharing. I really appreciate the stats. It helps to put things in perspective about what is happening. Going back to accreditation, can you refresh us and just for the public about what it means to be accredited? What can happen? What can our police bureau do when they are accredited?
So accreditation it sets the standard for police departments, is how all police departments should have their policies, how they should act. It helps with insurance cost. If you're an accredited agency, it can lower insurance costs. A grant funding eventually is going to, you're going to have to be accredited for certain grants. I know like with some of the traffic cameras and if municipal police officers ever get radar, it's going to be only for accredited agencies, I would assume. So it opens up the door for a lot of that. But really, it displays that you're a professional police department doing what the state is mandating that all police departments do. So.
Thank you. And I also want to commend everyone who's involved in the recruitment efforts. Those numbers are incredible. To see that many candidates taking the test, passing the test, and continuing through.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of great feedback. I won't say the city, but an officer tested for us from a neighboring city, and he since decided that he was going to take a promotion at his department, but he praised the city, the Bureau of Police, the recruitment efforts, the leadership. He sent a really glowing email, and he said, "I wish my city was like yours," and it's a neighboring city of ours. So we're doing it right here, and it's the work that the officers in the bureau are doing, and our comms team. I couldn't do it without our comms team.
Yes.
So,
Thank you. Any questions for Chief Mendez from council?
Yes.
Councilor Craig.
Hi, Chief.
hello.
When the guns go to the lab for testing, how long does it take to get back the results? And what is the likelihood of them being able to be tested to the point where they're connected to something?
So I'll answer the second half first. The likelihood is good. A lot of times we get the results back and it'll show that it was linked to a shots fired incident here, a shooting here, sometimes even in other cities. Sometimes we'll have recovered a gun that was used in a crime in Philadelphia. So the testing's great and they can link a lot of stuff. It's not the fastest. So I forget the date, but I know we were just going over it, and I think we had one that was from like 2009 that we hadn't received back yet from the state. So it can take, they're overwhelmed like everyone else with their testing, so they prioritize it. So if it's a homicide, it's going to get priority over a random shots fired call or just a possession that we take it off of someone. So it can be quite a long time.
And the chiefs from various cities around the state and mayors recently met with the lieutenant governor and other members from PCCD and elevated the delays within the Pennsylvania State Police Office that is responsible for processing these guns, because there is a backlog. And so we're going to continue to ask questions and elevate this issue, because it brings justice to families who have been affected by violent crime, and us not knowing that information for extended periods of time can also just inhibits our ability to prosecute, to press charges. We don't do the prosecution, but to bring charges.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Craig. Additional questions? Councilor Davis.
Chief, thank you for the information and for tackling my request. I do have a question that I'm not sure if you still have to work into getting that information, but I have a question: how many immigrants have been between that time frame that were incarcerated?
So I did get that question, looked into it. We haven't tracked immigration status, so I can't tell you. We just don't track it. It's something that the Bureau does not track.
Okay. And in regards to the program, you're mentioning a program that Benchmark is going to be granting the police department for the juveniles. Can you explain what type of program this is? What is exactly is tackling? Is it by age difference between like teenagers, or is it younger school kids? If you can give me an enlightenment of what exactly you're talking about.
So the purpose of the program is a coordinated, targeted approach between law enforcement and social services organizations, and they're targeting really the weapons, the gun carrying of the juveniles, and the age group of target is 8 years old to 18 years old. And I can provide you more information via email with it, but that's, I believe that answers your question with that.
Yes, if you can do that, I would really appreciate it, because get involved in the school district. I have several friends that are teachers that obviously have problems with some of their children. Either they're being bullied or the opposite, they're very aggressive either to the parents or to someone in the neighborhood. So knowing that that's available, I would be able to give them that information so they can, consider enrolling their children. And if you can go ahead and send me your graph that you have with with the numbers and metrics that you have, I would really appreciate that data.
Yes, I'll send it to everyone on council.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Diaz. Further questions for Chief Mendez? Councilor Hurst? I'm sorry. Mayor Sarachi, we'll come back.
Sorry, Chief, can you just tell us what happens to all the money that all the cash that you referenced?
So it gets turned over to the district attorney, and then it's used for, once it goes through the court process, which can take a couple years, it'll go back, and then we get a portion of it, but it has to be used for to combat illegal drugs. So some of it comes back to the city to use for future drug investigations, whether it's buy money or to purchase vehicle rentals or stuff like that. So I don't know the percentage offhand of what we get back.
Not all of it.
We do not get all of it.
Thank you. Councilor Hurst.
Thank you, Chief Mendez, and thank you for the presentation and the information. I wanted to shift gears just a little bit and ask about traffic enforcement of traffic safety laws, and what efforts the Bureau might be considering for this year around that.
So we do a lot of, we actually do a lot of details with that. We have a patrol services unit that will, I know you'll probably see the street signs out occasionally, that the LED signs on the trailers, they will constantly be tracking speeds and traffic patterns. So sometimes we'll use those to target areas. Really residents calling in and saying, hey, people are speeding in my block, please come out. So we do a lot of traffic enforcement details throughout the year. I think we just published one not that long ago on South Prince Street that we ran. It's hard in the city without radar to really speed's the tough one, because we're limited with how we can time speeds. So that's always tricky in the city, but we do run speed details. We'll do other pedestrian details. If people are in crosswalks and it's sometimes unsafe, so we'll have officers out that will call out violations with that. And then really just as far as the patrol officers out, the ones working every day and night are when on their downtime they should be doing traffic enforcement as well.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I can just provide on that last point. We did an aggressive driving detail on, oh no, I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong year. I thought that was just recent, but this is from last year. On the 700 block of South Prince, they stopped 31 vehicles, issued 34 citations, another 52 vehicles were traveling over the posted speed limit, but were unable to be stopped due to the officers all being tied up with other violators. So the minimum speed to be stopped was 41 miles an hour, and the top speed was 54. So obviously, this is an issue that we talk about. Lieutenant Radmore is on the Traffic Commission. He is also the key liaison to Vision Zero efforts, and he's the one that's been sending reports to Chief, who shares them related to speed details, aggressive driving details, as well as pedestrian details. So we can just make a point to share that more regularly with council as they happen. They don't happen as frequently as we all would want them to. I'll just say that. And in large measure, that is because of staffing challenges, which is why his first item in his report is so important in terms of the overall recruitment. And I just can't say enough about the recruitment team, which includes 16 police officers, as well as our communications team, and council special thanks, because there was $50,000 that was included in the budget to do the kind of marketing, social media, and material development that was necessary for us to really get it off the ground in the way that we wanted. And now we're a model. A lot of people are paying a lot of attention to what we're doing because we're pulling in numbers of applicants that are not seen in many, many communities across the country.
We are. Our police department actually reached out from the academy out west and was like, what are you guys doing to get so many candidates? So it's definitely being noticed.
That's great. Thank you. I'll go down here. Any questions for Chief Mendez?
If I may, Council President.
Councilor Rowe.
First of all, thank you, Chief Mendez, for the presentation, and congratulations on, seems like a lot of success within your department. Love the leadership development for your officers in the police bureau. That's awesome to hear. Regarding the recruitment piece, so that's a lot of candidates that are coming through, and it seems like a lot of qualified candidates once they go through the process. What happens to the folks that don't necessarily join the bureau? What happens next? Is there further engagement with them, or what are next steps for them?
As far as who didn't make it through the
Yeah, I'm assuming, and maybe I'm misunderstanding, so I'm assuming there's folks that go through the process, and there's a group of qualified candidates. What happens next? Do a certain amount get hired, and what happens to the ones that don't?
Yeah, so a lot depends. If somebody fails like the PT, the physical agility test, we'll remain in contact with them and try and, make them get ready to, we're still running PT test every, I forget how often, but on Saturdays, we'll still run physical agility stuff to have people prepare. So we don't just, dismiss people that maybe failed the PT or the written. Backgrounds are a little bit trickier. It depends on what's in somebody's background. We do not want to lower standards for Lancaster City. If you look at some neighboring cities, you can see who has lowered standards by reading news, and we don't want that in Lancaster City. We just don't. We want the best to be working for us. So there is some stuff in the background that just with time, we can tell them like, hey, you did this a month ago. You got to give it, give us a good solid year of not doing that behavior. Reapply. So we do, it depends. And then there's some people with the backgrounds that we just don't ever want to be Lancaster City police officers. Like if I don't want to get into everything, but if you're posting racially, motivated post on Facebook, we don't want you working for us. And that's just, it's not, we just don't. So it depends on the situation.
So, well, I appreciate you holding a high standard in the department. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Additional questions for Chief Mendez? All right. Thank you so much for joining us.
All right, thank you.
We'll be looking forward to the additional data that you'll be sending
Yep.
along.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, welcome Chief Hutchinson. Good evening and thank you for being here.
Good evening. Again, good evening, Mayor Sirachi, President Bakay, and members of City Council. I'm pleased to present to City Council a report outlining the activities of the Fire Bureau for the first quarter of 2024. The Fire Bureau appreciates Mayor Sirachi and City Council's ongoing support, which provides essential resources for fulfilling our mission of protecting public safety, including life, property, and the environment. Throughout the initial quarter, the Fire Bureau responded to 789 calls for service. Of these calls, 28 were to reported structure fires, 204 involved rescue and emergency medical services, and 215 responses were attributed to alarm system activations. Our responses were dispersed across all the city zones with the following breakdown. Northwest, we had 144 responses. Southwest, we had 142 responses. Northeast, we had 152 responses. Southeast, we had 106 responses. The Downtown Investment District had 44 responses, and Mutual Aid accounted for 28 responses. Maintaining our operational efficiency, the average response time for the initial fire apparatus arrival to reported emergencies stood at 4 minutes and 57 seconds. Notably, the Fire Bureau consistently met the standard of deploying a full force alarm at the scene within 8 minutes of the 911 call receipt. One noteworthy incident during the first quarter was to 508 West Lemon Street on February 11th. During this operation, our crew successfully rescued 2 occupants from a second floor windows. The favorable outcome underscored the importance of our smoke detector program. Smoke alarms promptly alerted the occupants to the fire, enabling them to seek refuge until the arrival of our firefighters who facilitated their rescue. Speaking of our smoke detector initiative, in 2023, the Fire Bureau installed 783 smoke detectors. In '24, we have so far installed 72 detectors with 28 additional applications in progress. Since its inception, this program has installed over 15,000 smoke detectors in 3,000 homes, significantly enhancing residential safety here in the city. In terms of professional development, so far firefighters have logged over 3,000 hours of training in 2024. These hours were the result of in-house training sessions, external courses at the state and federal levels. One highlight of this training that has taken place happened just today. Members of our suppression team participated in live fire evolutions at the Pequay Lane Fire Training Center. This was the first in-house live fire training offered by the Fire Bureau since 2015. This commitment to ongoing education aligns with our master training plan, reflecting our team's dedication to continuous improvement. In late June, the Fire Bureau will take delivery of a new fire engine, a significant addition in alignment with the apparatus replacement plan that was approved by City Council. Thanks to favorable negotiations, this acquisition will save over $150,000 compared to current market rates. This apparatus will replace a unit that was built in 2000. Furthermore, we will celebrate the graduation of 4 new firefighters from the Harrisburg Area Community College Fire Academy on May 3rd. These new firefighters want to undergo additional training under our leadership for 2 weeks before assuming their respective shifts, thereby increasing the strength of our firefighting force. Participation in over 50 community events highlights our proactive engagement in public outreach and community risk reduction. These engagements include station tours, fire safety education at senior centers, career days at local schools, and other community activities, collectively reaching over 300 residents, promoting a culture of fire safety awareness. Looking ahead to 2025, the Fire Bureau leadership is planning and budgeting to ensure the successful continuation of our mission. With the continued support from City Council and Mayor Sirachi, we will continue to excel in our commitment to excellence, dedicated to serving the safety and well-being of the Lancaster City residents and visitors. And that's my report for the first quarter of 2024.
Thank you so much, Chief. I wanted to highlight, you mentioned certain category of service calls is EMS related.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit more about that type of response and how many of your firefighters are trained, either EMS or paramedics? I forget the.
Our firefighters, beginning with this new contract, are all fire EMTs. Prior to that, it was part of the academy. Some of the certifications had lapsed, but as of right now, we only have 2 that aren't certified EMTs, but have gone through the training prior and just had their certification lapse. So we respond to what we consider is dispatched as Class 1, which is a advanced life support call, which would be your shootings, stabbings, falls, cardiac arrest. We had a child fall out of a second-floor window last week. It's anything to doing with major trauma, or immediately that you can intervene to save a life. So we also included recently. We started responding to all chokings and overdoses within the city limits.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Council questions for Chief Hutchinson. Councilor Ahmed.
Thank you, Council President, and thank you, Chief Hutchinson, for your report. With these additional hires, is that going to bring us to full brass, or do we still have vacancies in the Fire Bureau?
Unfortunately, it won't bring us to full, but that's only because we had 2 firefighters that had left and taken jobs with the Washington, D.C. Fire Department. It would have up until 2 months ago. So we'll continue to recruit and try to get some more firefighters in our ranks.
Thank you.
We will also be holding our promotional exams in the early June to promote within the department.
Thank you.
Great.
And that concludes my questions, Council President.
Thank you so much. Any additional questions for Chief? Councilor Roy?
Thank you, Council President. Just thank you for the presentation, and just a comment, through the different community events, I really appreciate seeing the firefighters out there in the community just interacting with folks, and that's why with my family, they're constantly saying hi and engaging, and I love seeing the photos of the firefighters in school, so I guess this is the career day.
Yeah, it's towards the end of the school year, you see a lot, they start to mix in the career days, so we've had quite a few career days in the last month and a half. So it's really enjoyable, and I spent a day at Reynolds and a day at Lincoln Middle School doing career stuff. So it's a lot of fun, and just get them introduced to the fire service and even just public safety.
Yeah, no, it's great to see that, so just appreciate the continued engagement.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Chief Hutchinson, thank you so much for making the time to come out tonight.
Thank you.
Council President,
Mayor Srirachi.
at the risk of embarrassing them, I just have to say, I'm so proud of the efforts of Fire Chief Hutchinson and Police Chief Mendez for the work that they have been doing. We've really rebuilt the Fire Bureau from the days when I first got here in 2018 with your support, 2 new fire stations, apparatus, we've done promotions, we've really built a bench of leadership there that I think we can all feel really proud of. And in the Police Bureau, we've had a lot of changes, and there's been a lot of community conversations about the role of policing and the ways in which we train our officers, the policies that they adhere to. We've gone through as a country just a lot of tumult around policing following the murder of George Floyd. And I just cannot say enough about Chief Mendez's leadership and the command staff that is in place there, and their dedication to their work and their ability to meet the moment. To develop and cultivate the kind of leadership training that's happening and a culture change that's happening within the Bureau. So really excited about knocking on wood that we're going to have some really good hires that are going to come out of this next class of recruitment that you will all meet on the streets and elsewhere. And just really appreciate the leadership that they have brought to the city, to the benefit of our residents. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll move on our agenda this evening. And the next item is interim reports of committees of council. I don't believe we have any of those tonight. Is that correct, Mr. Harris?
We do not.
Thank you. Then we'll move into our legislative agenda for this evening. Excuse me. The first items are our Heritage Conservation District items. Mr. Harris.
Considering the following applications and recommendations from the Historical Commission for improvements to properties within the Heritage Conservation District. The first is BB Real Estate Investments, owners of 725 North Duke Street, rear, proposed construction of 2 new upper-level floors to contain apartments above an existing brick garage facing North Cherry Street. The second is Lancaster County Housing and Redevelopment Authorities, Otterbein United Methodist Church, owners of 20 East Clay Street, and Murata Main Architects, the applicant, proposed construction of a new elevator shaft on a rear elevation. And both of those applications were recommended for approval by the Historical Commission.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. We will take these items separately this evening. I'll hear a motion for item A.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Councilor Craig, if you have anything to add for this item?
I really do not have anything other than what is here. Actually, both of them are pretty straightforward.
They were each recommended for approval. Do we have any of the applicants here for BB Real Estate or the owners of 725 North Duke Street? That's okay if we don't.
Nope.
Okay. I'll take any council comments on the motion to approve. Or from the public. Hearing none, Mr. Harris?
Mrs. Matt?
Aye.
Mr. Roy?
Aye.
Mr. Cleese? Aye. Ms. Craig?
Aye.
Ms. Diaz?
Aye.
Mr. Hirsch?
Aye.
President Baker?
Aye. And now we'll hear a motion on item B.
Motion to approve. Second.
A motion and a second. Thank you so much. Again, Councilor Craig, anything else to mention besides they were recommended for approval?
Nothing other than what we have here.
Great. And this is the Lancaster County Housing and Redevelopment Authorities. This is for the project to make improvements that we've discussed previously at Otterbein United Methodist Church. Any council comments on the motion?
Council President, if I may.
Councilor.
My employer is the Lancaster County Housing Redevelopment Authority, and I have been asked by them to recuse myself from this vote to avoid the appearance of conflict of interest, and I have informed the city clerk of that in writing.
Thank you very much. Any additional council comments on the motion? From the public? Hearing none, Mr. Harris?
Mr. Ahmed?
Aye.
Mr. Roy?
Aye.
Mr. Cleese? Aye. Ms. Craig?
Aye.
Ms. Diaz?
Aye.
Mr. Hirsch? President Bacon?
Aye. Thank you. We'll now move to our next item on the agenda, item B, ordinances for final passage. We have tonight Administration Bill number 5, 2024. Mr. Harris.
An ordinance of the Lancaster City Council amending the code of the City of Lancaster, Chapter 125, discrimination, to combine the Human Relations Commission and the Human Relations Commission Advisory Council, providing for the repeal of inconsistent ordinances, providing for the severability of the ordinance, and providing that the ordinance shall take effect in accordance with Pennsylvania law.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. It was introduced by Councilor Cleese.
Thank you, Madam President. So this ordinance is amending Chapter 125 of the City Code to combine the Human Relations Commission and the Human Relations Commission Advisory Council. The ordinance was reviewed by Council during our committee meeting on April 1st, and then it went through the first reading on April 9th during our regular Council meeting. Tonight is the final. It's the vote for the final passage of the ordinance. If it passes, all the members of the Human Relations Commission shall remain the same, and all the members of the Human Relations Commission Advisory Council shall become members of the Human Relations Commission for the terms they were previously appointed for. So the ordinance is pretty straightforward. And the fusion is clear. I don't know if the mayor has something to add.
Nothing more to add. Thank you, Councilor.
Okay, so that's all I got, Madam President. So now I make a motion to amend Section 1, Paragraph B. The commission shall consist of a minimum of 5 and a maximum of 13 members.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to amend. Councilors, you will recall that the ordinance that was presented to us had 2 blanks to fill in those spaces to make sure that we could accommodate all of the existing members of the commission and the advisory board, and making sure that the number was appropriate so that they can continue to have a quorum for their meetings. Any council discussion on the motion to amend? Comments from the public on the motion to amend? Hearing none, Mr. Harris?
Mr. Ahmed?
Aye.
Mr. Roy?
Aye.
Mr. Cleese?
Aye.
Ms. Craig?
Aye.
Ms. Diaz?
Aye.
Mr. Hirsch?
Aye.
President Bacon?
Aye. We will now return to the original motion, which is now to approve bill number 5 as amended. Are there any additional council comments on the now amended ordinance? From the public? Hearing none, Mr. Harris?
Mr. Ahmed?
Aye.
Mr. Roy?
Aye.
Mr. Cleese?
Aye.
Ms. Craig?
Aye.
Ms. Diaz?
Aye.
Mr. Hirsch?
Aye.
President Bacon?
Aye. Thank you. That does conclude our legislative agenda this evening. We'll now move into our second public comment period. It's open for comments on issues that were not previously on the agenda. Speakers, please come to the microphone, begin with your name, and block of residence, and comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. If there's anyone wishing to make public comments, please come forward at this time. Ms. Cole, thank you.
Yes. Maria Cool, 600 block of 3rd Street. I'm sorry. I just had one paragraph left. Okay. The most recent and gross example of the joy of being in a ghetto-adjacent, unimportant neighborhood is the recent incident where human waste and toilet paper from a clogged sewer line was left on a sidewalk and in the street in front of the house where the company had worked on the clog. It stayed there all weekend. Would this happen on State Street or on Chestnut Street, downtown Lancaster? I mean, could mention a lot of other streets. Of course not. But it did in our neighborhood. So that's all.
Ms. Cole, thank you very much. Additional public comments for this period. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Irene Grievous. I'm on West End Avenue. My concern is I was recently in one of the property reinvestment boards, and I was appalled and how ruthless and how easy some of these properties have been condemned. I know there is the critical repair program, yet easily 3 specific properties, which is on Woodward Street, Manor Street, and on North Queen Street. Specifically, one property on Queen Street, which an elderly woman, 82 years old, was displaced from her home with her disabled son. In the middle of winter, she was placed in a hotel for 2 weeks, and after 2 weeks, she became homeless, living in her car with her disabled son, while these investors are pouncing, coming in, basically taking her property, exploiting public servants are exploiting taxpayers for their own benefit with all the for financial gain. This woman obviously lost her home to the investors' enjoyment in the middle of winter. I just do not understand. We're talking about we're in a housing crisis and helping our residents, and yet we're taking people's property for financial gain. This is ruthless. This is appalling. And at this recent Property Reinvestment Board, specifically Mr. Hirsch, he was gloating the fact that these 3 particular properties were blatant and with the investors, and I'm sure I am just so lost for words how our public servants are abusing their power and not listening to the residents of the community because of the conflicts of interest, because of financial gain, and yet, there's just a lot of hypocrisy going on, and our public servants are not listening to the residents, and it's a shame. And I'm just hoping people will wake up, because today is one person, one elderly woman. Who is it going to be tomorrow or the next day? I mean, this conflicts of interest and abuses of power really need to be addressed, and, people need to wake up, because it's only going to get worse. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Grievous. Are there any additional public comments for this evening's meeting? All right, hearing none, I will close the public comment period. Our next item on the agenda is the report of the mayor. Mayor Sirachi.
Thank you. Tonight, I want to share a piece of really great news, which is the City of Lancaster received a $2 million Healthy Homes grant from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, also known as HUD. The Healthy Homes program, managed by the city's Department of Community Planning and Economic Development, will provide funding to support eligible housing rehabilitation for 145 residential properties throughout the city to protect, maintain, and improve the quality of existing housing to help keep households safe and affordable. The housing rehabilitation will address various housing-related health and safety hazards in privately owned, low-income rentals or owner-occupied housing where families with children, older adults, or individuals with disabilities live. Eligible repairs include work on roofs, heating, electrical, sewer, plumbing, radon, carbon and smoke detectors, structural concerns, and other critical health and safety improvements. This grant means more dollars are going to our neighborhoods where support is needed most. And we're grateful to HUD for their continued investment in the city of Lancaster, and I'm eager to see our team really be able to put these dollars to work. So just kudos to Craig, to Elaine, to everyone in CPED who pulled together this application and got it across the finish line. So we appreciate your efforts and the efforts to support 145 additional homes, which is great. Because we often, as you know, run out of critical repair dollars that come through CDBG funds, and so all of this funding is just adding more properties to the mix. And a completely different subject. I just want to recognize an amazing accomplishment of a Lancaster City resident, Kiki Jefferson, who was recently drafted to the WNBA. She will now be a Minnesota Lynx. I last saw Kiki at the Toys for Tots distribution in December with her family, and I just want to send a big congratulations her way. It's truly exciting. Kiki deserves this and has worked so hard, and her family has sacrificed so much to help her get there. So just congratulations to Kiki and the Jefferson family.
Thank you very much, Mayor Sirachi. The next item on our agenda is the report of President of Council. I do not have a report to give this evening, so we will move to council comments. Are there any council comments this evening? Hearing none and having reached the end of our agenda, I will hear a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.